Hello everyone, this is Tian. I was lucky enough to have traveled to Australia with my family a year before I came to Canberra to begin my studies, so I had a really good idea of what to expect when I arrived. I do remember that one of the most impressive aspects about Australia was the blue sky and fresh air that most Australians taken for granted. Another big difference was the number of people, or rather lack of people, as compared to China. Everything seemed so open and spacious, and this took a while to get used to. I must admit that, like most new arrivals to a new country, I felt really scared when I came to Canberra because I could not visualize what life here would be like, and I knew nobody to ask to find out. While I was a good student in China, I also worried that a different language and lifestyle might mean that my academic performance was negatively affected. The first person I met was my homestay mother Helen, and I quickly realized that she could be all the help I need. She was very patient, kind, and friendly. She showed me around and took me to school the first day. Looking back, I think that living in homestay accommodation was the best decision my parents made for me. When I first arrived, and every aspect of my new environment was different and often confusing. Having someone who could show me how to buy a SIM card or work out the best bus timetable, for example, was invaluable. I know that I could not have adapted so quickly to Australian life without my homestay's care and support. Living in homestay also allows me to focus all my energy on my studies as my homestay cooked and cared for me. I came to feel like part of the family, and we made a habit to watch TV together every day after dinner. I only now appreciate what a difference living in homestay family made for me, not only in terms of helping me learn English quickly, but also in terms of my confidence and sense of well-being. I still miss home and mom's cooking, but I made many new friendships at Despite my good experience in homestay, I thought I would be able to live by myself for year 12. I thought it could help to make me be more independent, but in reality, living by myself without homestay support was actually a lot harder than I thought. I just seem to never have enough time as I have to do my own cooking every day, wash my clothes and clean the house. In addition, the place where I live was really far away from school. It took me more than 2 hours to travel to school and back home again, another demand on my time. In hindsight, it was good, although a difficult decision to move into a private accommodation, as I think it made my transition to university life easier. It took me a long time to acclimatize to living by myself, as I often felt lonely without my homestay family to talk to. It was different working into a cold and empty house at the end of the day when I had become so used to having a family bustling around me. Now I'm used to live by myself, have learned to cope with the day-to-day demands that entails, and I can cook my dinners much more quickly. Learn to live independent and be wholly responsible for organizing my time for study. Leisure and housework was really tough at the start, but it became much easier and I really enjoy it now. There are significant differences between the Australian and Chinese education systems. The first and most obvious difference is the number of students in each classroom. It is normal for a classroom to have over 50 students in China. Without doubt, the smaller class size in Australia give students opportunity for individual assistance and monitoring. A huge difference, in my opinion, is the freedom of choice in selecting subjects. This allowed me to choose those subjects which interested me, or those areas for which I had aptitude, and I feel this contribute to my process and overall performance. In China, All students study common subjects throughout primary school to high school. Only at university do students have the opportunity to specialize and choose to study only those areas in which they have an interest. Perhaps the greatest difference between the two schooling systems is the way of teaching. In China, it is common to have a teacher standing in front of students, demonstrate a skill, and for students to then rote learn the material present in class. In Australia, teachers encourage students to understand concepts and ideas by doing, interacting with others, and using their own initiative. In Australia, students must learn to think creatively and analytically and justify their points of view, and this is perhaps the most challenging aspect of studying here. Chinese students in general have much more free time when studying in Australia. The school day is shorter and there is not the same pressure to do extra supplementary class outside school time. Here in Australia, international students often have part-time jobs. However, in China, this is rare as there is no time after school and additional classes or training sessions. In Canberra, each school consists of 4 terms, so overall we have 8 terms of work that makes up our final scores. To calculate our final data, the Board of Senior Secondary Studies takes the best 7 terms results and use the Australian scaling test to moderate scores between different schools. Continuous assessment looks at the students' overall capabilities and requires that students constantly demonstrate their level of knowledge and maintain a standard of achievement. This is something that a final stand-alone exam simply cannot accomplish. Continuous assessment demands consistency as it is very hard to do well unless the student is constantly submitting high-quality work. Continuous assessment provides a comprehensive and accurate view of the overall level of the student, rather than simply assessing those students who are able to perform well in exams. In my opinion, continuous assessment is a very better way to judge a student's level of knowledge, skill, and expertise. That is not to say the traditional examination should never be used, but I do think that continuous assessment provides superior results. Because of this system, I worked consistently and now have a really good foundation. I learn to revise every day and keep practicing instead of doing everything right before the test. I think this has prepared me really well for uni. A real plus about studying in Canberra is the individual assistance and support that my teachers give me. All my teachers knew me and took the time to explain things slowly if I have trouble understanding something. I found teachers were much more relaxed in Australia, and students even call teachers by their first name. In Australia, I feel that my teachers worked hard and make sure students could do well. At college, there are specialized additional tutorial sessions for math, science, and English. I always attend the math tutorial and ask lots of questions. But in general, if I had questions, I would just ask the subject teacher, and they were always prepared to make time to help me. For those students thinking about coming to Australia to study, I would say that Australia is a multicultural country, so you won't feel alone or be out of place when you come here. And in my experience, Australians are friendly and warm-hearted. It's also really safe and beautiful country, so you can travel around while you are studying here. You will have a lot more free time although you need it when you're studying a secondary language. But most importantly for me, you can study whatever you like. My parents are really happy that they chose to send me here. They say I grew up while I was studying here, and that they hardly recognize the independent and confident person I have become. When I think back about completing high school in Canberra, I consider it such a special time, and I think that's because I met a special person here. I received so much help from so many people and have made many good friends here. My best friends are here, and now I'm in the fortunate position of having two families, one in China and another one in Australia. My college life in Australia was sincerely memorable and a wonderful experience. I really want to say something to my miss. Thank you so much for being there, comfort me during hard times. I will never forget the important advice you gave me. I know I will never be reaching this far without you, so thanks. I will finish this video with one more sentence. Challenges are what make life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life